Yo, what does fried chicken have to do with race? I mean, don't white folks love fried chicken too? And why does it even get offensive sometimes? If you've ever wondered about the real story behind this soul food classic, stick around. We're about to break it all the way down for you. Today, we're diving deep into the untold history of Black Americans and fried chicken, a dish that's so much more than just a meal. We're talking about where this crispy, golden goodness came from, how it became a cornerstone of Black culture, and why it's been tangled up in some ugly stereotypes over the years. If you've ever sat down with a plate of fried chicken at a family gathering, or even grabbed a bucket from your favorite spot and wondered about the story behind it, you're in the right place. I'm your host, Knowledge Man, and this is the Black History League, where we uncover the stories they didn't teach you in school. Let's get into it. Let's take it way, way back. Where did fried chicken even come from in the first place? Believe it or not, the concept of fried chicken goes all the way back to ancient Rome. Yep, we're talking over 2,000 years ago. A Roman cookbook called Apicius, which dates back to the 4th century, was the first to suggest frying chicken in oil. They'd season it with herbs like parsley and oregano and fry it up to a golden crisp. But it wasn't until the Moors in the Mediterranean got their hands on it that fried chicken really started to take shape. The Moors, who were North African Muslims, were culinary innovators during the Middle Ages. They brought their frying techniques to Spain, and their recipes spread across the region, blending African and European flavors. Fast forward to the 1700s, and the Scots entered the chat. The Scottish people had been deep-frying poultry in fat since the Middle Ages, something totally different from the usual European methods of baking or boiling. In 1773, a writer named James Boswell wrote in his diary about a dinner he had on the Isle of Skye, where he ate fried chicken that was crisp and delightful. And then, in 1747, a British cookbook called The Art of Cookery Made Plain and Easy by Hannah Glass gave us one of the first written fried chicken recipes. It was a hit in both Britain and the American colonies. The recipe called for cutting 2 chickens into quarters, marinating them in vinegar for 3 to 4 hours with salt, pepper, bay leaves, and garlic, then dipping them in a thick batter made with wine, flour, and egg yolks, and frying them in hog lard. Can you imagine the smell of that kitchen? That recipe was a game changer, setting the stage for fried chicken to cross the Atlantic. But here's the real tea. While the Romans, Moors, and Scots laid the groundwork, it was West Africans who took fried chicken to the next level. They brought their seasoning traditions and culinary ingenuity, blending them with these early recipes to create the flavorful dish we know and love today. That fusion, that's where the magic really started. So how did fried chicken become a cornerstone of Black American culture? Let's talk about the role of enslaved Africans. During the horrors of slavery, West Africans were forcibly brought to America, and they carried their culinary traditions with them. Back in West Africa, they were used to braising chicken or frying foods in palm oil, a rich, red oil that gave dishes a unique flavor. But in America, palm oil wasn't available, so they had to adapt, using lard or animal fat instead. Enslaved Africans were often given the least desirable ingredients to work with. Think tough cuts of meat or whatever scraps were left over. But they turned those scraps into something incredible. They'd season their chicken with whatever spices they could get their hands on, like pepper, garlic, and herbs, and fry it up to perfection. Chickens also played a huge role in their lives. Enslaved people were sometimes allowed to raise chickens, which gave them a small piece of independence in a system that stripped them of everything else. They'd care for those chickens, using them for eggs, meat, and even trade. If a chicken got sick or died, they wouldn't let it go to waste. They'd clean it, season it heavily to mask any off flavors, and fry it in hot oil to make it safe to eat. Fried chicken became a special occasion dish during slavery because it wasn't easy to make. You needed access to oil, a good fire, and time, things that weren't always available. But when they did make it, it was a celebration. After the Civil War, Black American women in the South started turning fried chicken into a business. In Gordonsville, Virginia, a small town of just 900 people, black women saw an opportunity with the railroad. Trains back then didn't have dining cars, so passengers were hungry. These women, known as waiter carriers, would fry up batches of chicken, wrap it in cloth, and pass it through the train windows to passengers, along with biscuits and pies. They built a whole economy around it, feeding travelers and earning a living in a time when opportunities for black women were almost non-existent. This wasn't just about food, it was about survival, creativity, and community. Enslaved Americans and their descendants took a dish and made it a symbol of resilience, something that would spread across the South and become a staple of soul food. But fried chicken didn't just stay in the kitchen. It became a way for black Americans to build economic power. Let's talk about that. After the Civil War, during the Reconstruction era, black Americans faced new challenges with Jim Crow laws that restricted their opportunities. Jobs were scarce, especially for black women, so they turned to what they knew best: cooking. Fried chicken became a way to make a living. We already talked about the waiter carriers in Gordonsville, but this hustle spread across the South. Black women would set up roadside stands or sell fried chicken out of their homes, often on Sundays after church, to travelers and locals alike. It became known as the Sunday cluck or the gospel bird because it was a staple at post-church meals. They'd serve the best pieces, like the breast, to the pastor as a sign of respect when he visited their homes. This wasn't just about feeding people. It was about building community and creating economic independence in a system designed to keep black folks down. During the Great Migration, when millions of black Americans moved from the South to northern cities like Chicago and Detroit, they brought their fried chicken recipes with them. It became a taste of home, a reminder of the South, and a way to connect with their roots. In the North, black-owned restaurants started popping up, serving fried chicken alongside other soul food classics like collard greens and cornbread. These spots became cultural hubs, places where people could gather, share stories, and feel a sense of belonging. One famous example is Harold's Chicken Shack in Chicago, which started in 1950 and became a legend for its crispy, flavorful fried chicken. Harold's wasn't just a restaurant, it was a symbol of black entrepreneurship and pride. Fried chicken gave black Americans a way to carve out economic freedom and cultural identity, even in the face of systemic oppression. It wasn't just a dish, it was a lifeline, a business, and a way to keep traditions alive across generations. He calls it a soul food classic, but he's quick to point out that it's just one part of a much larger culinary heritage. Chefs like Carla Hall, who you might know from Top Chef, have also been elevating fried chicken to new heights. Carla's known for her Nashville hot chicken, which she serves with a side of history, reminding folks that this dish comes from a legacy of black innovation. Then there's the rise of black-owned fried chicken spots that are thriving today. Take Sweet Chick in New York City. One of the earliest and most damaging examples came from the 1915 film, The Birth of a Nation, a silent movie that's often called one of the most racist films in history. In one scene, it shows black elected officials, played by white actors in blackface, acting uncivilized during a legislative session. They're swigging whiskey, putting their bare feet on the table, and one guy is ravenously gnawing on a chicken bone, like he can't control himself. That imagery was deliberate. It painted black people as lazy, dim-witted, and obsessed with chicken, reinforcing the idea of white superiority. These stereotypes didn't stop there. They spread through minstrel shows, where white performers in blackface would mock black folks by pretending to be chicken thieves. By the 20th century, this trope was everywhere, in advertisements, cartoons, and even early TV shows. Fried chicken and watermelon became shorthand for mocking black people, implying they were less intelligent and more primitive. Fast forward to the modern day, and these stereotypes still linger. In 2010, KFC ran a commercial in Australia that showed a white guy surrounded by a rowdy crowd of black folks. His solution? He pulls out a bucket of fried chicken, and suddenly everyone calms down. The ad was called out as racist, and KFC had to issue a public apology and pull it. But that wasn't an isolated incident. Media played a huge role in creating and spreading these stereotypes, turning a dish that symbolized Black resilience into a tool for racism. But the story doesn't end there. Black Americans have been fighting back against this narrative for decades, and we're going to talk about that next. So how are Black Americans taking back the fried chicken story and turning it into a source of pride? Let's get into that. Despite the stereotypes, Black chefs, food writers, and entrepreneurs have been working hard to reclaim the narrative around fried chicken and highlight its true cultural significance. One of my favorite examples is Michael Twitty, a culinary historian and author of The Cooking Gene. Twitty has spent years researching the history of Black American food, and he's been vocal about fried chicken's roots in Black resilience and creativity. He calls it a soul food classic, but he's quick to point out that it's just one part of a much larger culinary heritage. Chefs like Carla Hall, who you might know from Top Chef, have also been elevating fried chicken to new heights. Carla's known for her Nashville hot chicken, which she serves with a side of history, reminding folks that this dish comes from a legacy of Black innovation. Then there's the rise of Black-owned fried chicken spots that are thriving today. Take Sweet Chick in New York City, a restaurant that's become a go-to for soul food lovers. They serve up crispy fried chicken with waffles, and their menu pays homage to the dish's southern roots. Another spot is Dookie Chase's in New Orleans, which has been around since 1941. It was a hub for civil rights activists like Martin Luther King Jr., who would meet there over plates of fried chicken to plan their next moves. Today, it's still run by the Chase family, and their fried chicken is legendary. On the cultural side, fried chicken remains a staple at African American gatherings. Think church picnics, family reunions, and Juneteenth celebrations. It's a dish that brings people together, symbolizing community and joy. I remember my own family's Sunday dinners growing up. My grandma would fry up a batch of chicken, and the whole house would smell like heaven. We'd sit around the table, laughing and sharing stories, and that chicken was the centerpiece of it all. That's what fried chicken really means to so many of us. It's about love, tradition, and resilience. Today, African Americans are rewriting the fried chicken story on their own terms, turning it into a symbol of pride and culinary excellence. From gourmet restaurants to family kitchens, this dish continues to represent the ingenuity and spirit of Black culture, proving that our history is stronger than any stereotype. That's the real story of Black Americans and fried chicken, a journey of creativity, struggle, and triumph that spans centuries. If you love this deep dive, you can find more stories like this right here on the Black History League YouTube channel. Make sure to subscribe and hit that bell so you don't miss a thing. We've got more videos coming your way. Your support helps us keep telling these stories and shining a light on Black history. I'm Knowledge Man, and I'll catch y'all in the next one. Stay curious, stay proud, and let's keep celebrating the legacy of our people.